Today we are talking about our current CRM for our lawn care and landscaping business. This is a question that I get asked so much. What are you using? Why do you use it? How long have you used it? Now, a CRM is a client relationship manager. It allows us to do a multitude of things. It's not just the communication with our client, because we're able to build out a client page in our CRM. It is the estimates, it is the invoicing, it is the dispatching of the teams, the notes to the teams, it is the whole, some would say, kit and caboodle. I hate that saying, but it's too late. I've already said it. It encompasses everything in our company. Now, we are still using the same software we have used since year 2 full-time in business, because year 1 in business, I used a leather book. Year 2, I used Jobber. Year 3, we started using Service Autopilot. I am always actively looking at new CRMs. I'm always actively looking to see what could we add and how could we do it better and how could we stay more organized. But for now, this has continued to be the resounding go-to for our business. The thing that makes the most sense, that excels us, that allows us to do everything we do, have great customer service and everything in between. Why do we choose Service Autopilot? I first got started using Service Autopilot for just a couple reasons, and they kept expanding and expanding and expanding. Originally, it was for the job costing and number detail, because we used to have stacks of paper because people would use work orders. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. We have phones. We need to have people clocking in and out. So the functionality of Service Autopilot was a lot better. Now, given, do we have some hiccups on the mobile app? Yes, and I think all mobile apps do. For the most part, we're able to work through that without many issues. So one was being able to track. Number 2 was having a card on file for all of our clients so we can bill them as we go. When we bill them as we go, we're able to immediately charge out thousands of cards. That was a problem before for us because we keep cards on file and we had to go into each account and bill them one at a time. Service Autopilot allows us to have, okay, we mowed 500 lawns last week. So for our billing in Illinois, we'll mow the 500 lawns, and then on the following Monday, we'll bill out all of them. It allows us to pull up a whole list of ready to invoice, ready to charge accounts, skim down that, make sure everything looks good, there's no flagged invoices, and then highlight them all or check them all. So one button to check them all, one button to open the menu, one button to charge them all. 3 clicks and you can charge 500 cards. People talk about Service Autopilot and they talk about it being expensive and time consuming, blah, 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 blah. Okay, everything worth doing is gonna be time consuming, because if it's a simplistic system that doesn't have much depth, yeah, it's not going to take long to build out. But if it's a heavy-duty system with a lot of depth, it's going to take a lot of time to build out, and it's going to take some effort. But that time and effort to build it out is going to make it easier on the back end for you to scale and for you to do more, because it's all already set for you. So that's a huge thing. Does it cost more? Potentially, yes, because there's a lot of depth in the product. But I've just talked about the first 2 things, right? I've just talked about cards, the knowing the numbers. There's so much more to this. The dispatching was 1,000% easier. The way we could look at a pin map, the way we could select chunks, we could move all of today's list to tomorrow's list. Because one thing that's huge about Service Autopilot for me is communication. It allows us to communicate well. We always advertise how we over-communicate as a company. Do we sometimes drop the ball on that? Yes, just like everybody. We're not always perfect. But one of the big things we do is when we move work from today to tomorrow, say we have a rain app, well, we're able to filter down what all was not completed. We're able to check all of those, send them all an email that looks like it's tailored to them because we've pre-built it out in the system. And it says, hi, Mr. Jones, your lawn was skipped today because of rain. We'll resume tomorrow. Then we can move all those to the next day. And then we just route those in. So we're just getting one win after the other, from the very first part of numbers, then to the cards, now to the ease of scheduling and dispatch. Next, one of the biggest things I never even knew we were going to love so much, and it wasn't as good when we first got it, but then they made it better, is our ability to market with it. And when I say market, that is using it for email marketing. We are always constantly sending out email marketing. We put all of our email marketing stuff in GROW Comm so other people can just copy what we've sent. And it's something that now GROW Comm's got a big enough list of emails that even us, we're just rehashing and reusing and repurposing old stuff at this point, because it's such a huge Rolodex of stuff that we've done for years, and we've just built it up and built it up and built it up and built it up. So there are so many different things in this that are going to allow you to do better. And that's just pieces of it. Like for our estimating is well built out in there now, where we can actually be extremely efficient and we can hand off estimating to other people because it's been boiled down to a template. You just type in the numbers. You just type in this many feet of this much material of this much of this, and it self-calculates everything. So this has been huge for us. This has been what we have really leveraged this service for, the CRM, to allow us to grow and to stay connected to our clients and to make sure we're servicing and doing a good job. Now, everybody always asks me what CRM is best, or why did I pick what we picked, right? What is best for you is what you're going to use. The number one reason I hear people don't like Service Autopilot is they say it's so complicated and there's so much. And the reason that is because they don't go all in and they only use like 10% of the system. And if you're only using 10% of Service Autopilot and not closer to 80, 90, 95%, you're shortchanging yourself. And then you can't value the cost. You feel like it costs way more than the value it brings because you're only using 10% of it. And until you start bringing your company way more value than the cost, it makes it where you don't really want to use it. So what is the best CRM for you? The best CRM is going to be the one you use, and the one that you use most effectively, meaning you used most of its resources. You don't just use a little bit here because it makes invoicing so much easier. It makes the work order so much easier. You really try to implement in your company and structure your company and it to suit it and work smoothly together so you can grow and scale your company more effectively. And I know I've seen all kinds of people do this with LMN. I've seen people do this with Service Autopilot. I've seen people do this with Boss. Service Titan's got really good things. Service Titan bought Aspire, and hopefully it makes Aspire better because I look at Aspire and it just looks ancient. It just doesn't look as put together. And now that Service Titan's something that is so well put together has bought them, that could really, really be a leader in the market. And so there's a bunch of different options. You know, there's I think Home Pro and all these different things that you can repurpose stuff and use it for you. No matter if it's in the service industry, you could use it for you. This one happens to specifically for us fit our business really well. And so far, there hasn't been something that has been so much better. There's been things that were better in one spot, but they weren't. You lost the email marketing, you lost this, you lost that, you lost the other. Going in, if you're going to pick something that's best for you, you're going to have to see what you can most effectively use and then find the most important things that it needs to do well, because those are things that are super important to you. For me, that's communication and email marketing, that's billing, that's reports, and then everything else we'll repurpose and work around. And we have just not seen anything that would knock Service Autopilot off of the table for us, because where Service Autopilot does 4 or 5 things really well for us, everything else so far has only done 1 or 2. And although it would be sweet if Service Autopilot could do those 1 or 2 better, it still wasn't better than having a service that almost fits everything and then a service that just helps in 2 areas. So I hope this has helped you make a decision. I hope this has helped you look into and think about what you would want as a CRM. One more thing I will say right before we end this is one of the original reasons I got away from Jobber, and I think Jobber is totally usable. I think it was more designed for a smaller company. And for me, I thought initially I was like, this just doesn't make sense to use this to scale because scheduling is really hard and clunky if I've got to move a bunch of stuff around. The reports, it just didn't seem like they put much value in knowing your numbers, which is like how long you're at a property, and when you job cost that out, how much are you making per man hour. Could you pull some of that data? Yes, but it wasn't like designed and set up to pull that data well. And to me, I look at all of those things and I say, okay, this might work for 1 crew, but what if we have 50 crews? And I'm always looking to the future. Does this work well for the future? Because if you look at your system that you have now or what you're looking at getting, and it's not going to work for what you want to build just 4 or 5 years down the road, then I would suggest you buck up and buy what it is that you actually need instead of trying to put a stepping stone in place that will just cause more headaches than good because it worked for 2 years, a year, and now you got to switch again, which every time you switch CRMs, it is a nightmare. So please do everything you can to avoid it. Find what you need that you think is going to work great. Make sure that if this video helped you or give you some insight on this, that you like it, you subscribe, and you share it with someone else that could learn from this.